Hey everyone, welcome back to the 55 days flow scenarios. This is the second video. This is the second scenario which we are going to implement today. We are again going to continue by creating the screen flow, and here is the scenario which you can see on your screen. Today we are going to develop a screen flow which is be responsible for creating the case record, and this time this screen flow will be sitting on the contact record. Now the key thing here is that if we are opening whatever the contact we are opening and we create a case, we should be able to see the contact, we should be able to create the case under that contact only. I'll explain you more about this, what we are saying. And here are the fields that needs to be displayed in the screen, like subject ID, description, priority, status, and case reason. These are basically 5 fields that needs to be displayed. Now let's get back to our Salesforce org. If you're not logged in Salesforce org, please go ahead and log in into Salesforce org. If you have skipped the previous video, please go ahead and watch that video to display the some message over here, some quote of the day message into the home page of sales application. What we are talking about in this scenario is, if you go to the contacts tab, and let's say that you're opening a contact called Andy Young, and you're trying to create a case under Andy Young, from Andy Young using the flow, then the case should be created under this Andy Young. And now if you go back and open some contact like Jack Rogers, then that case should be created under Jack Rogers. That is the key thing over here for that flow. So first of all, this is again a screen flow. It clearly says that we need to take input from the user and then perform some DML. So we are going to create a screen flow. Let's go to Salesforce and navigate to the setup by clicking on this gear icon and then click on setup. And we are going to search for flows again, the same way which we did in the previous video. We are going to click on new flow and select start from scratch. Again, UI might get changed in the near future, in future release by Salesforce. So please check the UI and don't get confused with that. The process of creating this screen flow, whatever we are doing is going to be same, will be same. The first thing that we need is we need to add the screen. So let's go ahead and add a screen, and we will say case information, because we wanted to take some input from the user. We don't want to see the header, so we are going to hide the header over here. I will show you what is the purpose of hiding this header in this video itself. Now let's look into our requirement. What are the different fields that we need to take? Subject, description, case reason, status, and priority. Subject and description are basically subject is text field, description is a text area field, priority is status, and case reason are the pick list field. How do I know? Let's check it. Go back to Salesforce in a different tab, click on cases, go to the cases tab, click on new, and now you will see here status, priority, case origin, and case reason. We also need to add this case origin as well. So there are 4 pick list field that we need to basically add in our flow. So let's start by adding subject and description. So go back to your flow, and while you are on the screen element, on the left hand side you see something called components, right? To add any input, Salesforce has provided us enough component that we can add. For text, we have got something called text. So let's drag and drop text. And for text area, we have got long text area. Okay. So let's select text, and we are going to populate the properties now. Label, we are going to say subject. It's not it is required. Let's make it as required. Rest all we will talk in future videos. Long text area, it is going to be description. So let's say description, make it as required as well. Now we have got 4 pick list field, and those pick list fields are status, priority, case origin, and case reason. So let's add those. For pick list, we have got something called pick list. So let's say 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are the pick list values. Now in our case object, we already have the different values populated over here. You can see. And we are going to use these values. We are going to pull it from the case object. How? Let's see that. We have already covered in the tutorials. So let's select one and give the name as status. Make it as required. Data type is going to be text. Under configure choices, component type is going to be pick list. For the choice which is required checkbox, which is required field, click on this add choice. Sorry, not this one. Enter this input and then click on new choice resource. For the resource type in the overlay in the pop-up, select pick list choice set. Why we are selecting pick list choice set? Because we want to fetch the values directly from the field of an object. And we are going to say choice status. This is the name of, or you can say where status options. Whatever you like, you just give the name over here. Now it is asking us to select the object. So we are going to search for case and select case object. Data type, select pick list, then select field. In our case, it is status. Click on done and we are done with the status. Our requirement says that the status should be default new. So in the right hand side, while you are populating or preparing the status pick list field, you see that there is an option called default. So we are going to say new and we are done. Similarly, let's do it for priority. Priority, it is going to be required. We are going to create a new resource. For resource type, we are going to select pick list choice set and we will say where priority options, select case, data type pick list, field is going to be priority. Then we have got case origin. Make it as required. Add a new choice set. We will say where origin options, object choose case as we said, and it is going to be origin field. And in the last we have got case reason. So let's prepare that as well. So whenever you want to read the values from a object pick list field, this is basically the way of reading the values from the object. Now what is the benefit of this? In future, if you are going to add or remove some values from these pick list field, your flow is automatically going to take care of that. You don't need to work again and again on that part. Okay. So your screen is done. This time we need a footer element because we will have next and finish. Okay. Click on done and let's save our flow. So we are going to see, say create case from contact detail page. This is the name of my flow. I'm just being as descriptive as I can so that it can be easily identified whenever I'm working on other cases as well. So our flow, we have got the input. Now if you want to click on debug, let's do it and see what is there. So we can see that okay, we got a UI which looks like okay, we have got all these options over here, right? We've got all these options which we can see, right? That is fine. Now we got all these cases. The screen is there, you click on finish, all these required fields are there, so it has to be required. Okay, yeah, it has to be required. Now once user clicks on next, right, because we need to create a case record, so there has to be a button for creating a case record. So once you have taken the information from this user, next is to create a record. So let's click on plus icon next to screen and we are going to say create records. This is going to be our DML elements or data elements. Create records, and this is how you are going to get opened with the property panel on the right side. Because it said create record, I'm going to say CR. This is the first create record element in my flow. I'm going to say CR01, and then the name of the flow or the title. So what I'm going to do is create a case record. We will talk about why we are doing this way, CR01, something like that. Now it said how to set the record field values. How we wanted to set the record. How you are going to record, basically create a record. Do you already have a record, or you want to map it one by one? So for now we are going to select manually. For which object we want to create? We want to create for case object. And now here is where we need to map the field. So we have got subject, description, then we've got subject, description, status, then we've got priority, then we've got reason, and finally we have got origin. These are basically some of the options that these are some of the values that we want to populate. Now what value we want to populate for the subject field? The value that user has input in this screen. So how do we get it? So we are going to get it. You click on this search box. You see that there is something called screen, and there is arrow next to that screen. Click on it and search your option. For status, it is going to be status. For description, similarly for the first one is subject, not status. So it has to be subject, description, then you've got status, then priority. Similarly, select case, reason, and other values. So that is how you are going to get the information about. That is how you are going to read the information from your uh, screen to any of the element. It could be create record. In future we will see how to send it to backend, like that. Okay, and then click on save. Now after you have saved this change, let's go ahead and debug it and click on run. So let's say now we say test, select some status, maybe I'll say working, phone, installation, whatever, and click on next. So as soon as you clicked on next from this screen, what happened? This element, this create record element got executed. The record got, you see here on the right hand side, you will see every single execution, and that is where this debug comes into the picture. We are seeing what is happening step by step. I have started as a user, Amit Singh, I started my flow. A screen was presented to me. This is what information I have selected. Then I selected the navigation button next. As soon as I selected next, create record basically got executed. These are the values which got populated, and a record got created, and this is the ID of our case. You can copy this ID. Now one important thing about this screen flow is that whatever you do is the final action. What does that mean? That means because you have already created a case, that cannot be undo. Now if you go back to your case, open any case and replace the ID in the URL, you will see the case has been created. You see over here, this is the case we've just created. So you cannot undo whatever you have done from the screen flow while you are debugging it. Even you are debugging it, you cannot undo it. Those are the final changes. So the case got created, but our requirement says that case should be created under contact. Which contact? Whatever the contact we are trying to use the flow. So let's say if I am here under Barbara Levy, case should be created under Barbara. If I am under Pat Strumler, case should be created under Pat. So how we are going to dynamically know which contact we are in? So in the flow, there is a very easy way. Whenever you are using the flow inside any record detail page, like this is a record detail page of contact, you go to the account. This is the record detail page of account. So whenever you want to use your flow inside a record detail page and you want to know which record you are in, what you have to do is you just have to go to your flow and create one variable. How do you create? Click on this small toggle icon from the left. Click on new resources. For the resource type, you need to select variable. For the API name, this has to be as it is, whatever I'm typing here, record ID, where everything is small except I of ID. So record ID, where I is in caps, everything else is in small. Data type should be text, and availability outside the flow, you will say available for input. This checkbox has to be checked and click on done. Save it. Now in this record ID variable, the contact record ID will automatically get stored. Now what you have to do is, in your create record element, add one more field mapping, say contact ID equals record ID, and that's it. Click on save. Now after saving this, after creating the record also, once the record is created, you need to show the success message to the user that a case has been created. So click on plus. Again, now you need to display some information, right? Click on screen and say this is a screen. We will say success screen. Success screen is here. I'm going to hide the header, or I will this time keep the header selected. I will show you why I'm hiding this header again and again. Okay. And for displaying any information, we can use display text, or we can also use something called call script. Call script is also used for displaying some value. So I'll say success message, and this is call script. What is a script text? We will say the case was created successfully. That is the message. That's it. If you want to change the color, you can change the color, maybe something, the color of this border, whatever this border is, you can see here. Maybe if I say 192, you can see the color is getting changed. And size, you have medium, you have large, you have small. Three options: medium, large, small. You see here. And click on done. Save it. So what we have done, we are taking the input from the user. Can we edit this screen element? Add the description. We will say take the relevant case information. So the reason I've added the description, because I wanted to showcase one thing. If you see for this screen, there is something, some hamburger icon, something like that. And if you hover over, you will see what is the purpose of this screen. So adding a description is a really good practice, that we should always add the description to tell the other users what is the purpose of this. So what we are saying, we are taking the input from the user. Once user says, okay, I'm good, we are creating a case. Once the case is created, we are displaying a success screen. Let's go ahead and debug it now. And this time you will see there is a difference. Input variable, it is asking for a record ID. Let's go and give a record ID of a contact called team bar. I'm giving the contact ID of team bar. You can give the contact ID of any other person, okay? Any other contact. Just give the ID of the contact, that's it. And after giving it, click on run. Now it is asking for the subject. I would say generator not working, too much heat, something like that, okay? Some kind of sample problem, you can give it. Click on next. and this time it says case created successfully. Now you see here on the top, this is the name of your flow, create case from contact detail page. This is the name of your flow, and that is what I am hiding when I say hide header under the screen element, so that we do not display the name of flow. And now you see the message got here. From the right hand side, we got the ID of case. We take it, go back to the contact, replace the ID in the URL, hit enter, and you see the case got created this time. It is related to the contact Timbar, and the account automatically got populated. We have not done any automation for this. So that is where the purpose of record ID comes. Whenever you are debugging it, you need to provide it manually. When we are using it inside a record detail page, we will see how to pass the ID dynamically. Okay. Now one more thing. Let's say there was some error while creating this case, right? Let me throw some random error. Okay. How? We will go to object manager, search for case, and we are going to go to the validation rules, click on new, and I'm going to say case cannot be created. I'm just say it is always going to be true. Okay. And we'll say case cannot be created as a message, save. So whenever you are trying to create a case, it will always give you the error. Let's try to create a case again now. Under Stella Pavela, let's try to debug our case, provide the record ID of a contact, and you can put it anything because it is going to fail, we know, right? Click on next, and you got this error. This is very bad error. In the right hand side, while you are debugging it, you will see what is the error, but the user will see a very bad error. User will not know what is the reason, what you can do, what you cannot do, nothing. You are not seeing any information, not any proper information, nothing. It is an unhandled fault. This is the very common mistake that admin does, developers does. They do not handle the error. So how do we handle it? For that, whenever you are using any data elements like create record, update record, delete record, get record, or you are trying to send the email, post to chatter, you're trying to do something, always add a fault path. So select that element, you will see an option called add fault path, and this is path going to be executed if there is any error. Let's click on plus icon, select screen, because if there is any error, we want to show to the user what is the error. And this time the label of that screen is going to be error screen. I am going to hide the header and display text, drag and drop, we'll say error message. What message we are going to display over here? The error message that is coming to the user, that is coming from the validation rule. So to display any error message, whenever there is any error in the flow, use a global variable called flow, not glow. Use global variable called flow, and there is a variable called fault message. And this is basically the flow fault message. You can put it in the center. You can color code it to the red because error is what always it is on the red. You can change the font size, you can change the font, whatever you want, you can do it. Click on done. So if there is any error, it will go this way. If there is a success message, no error, it will go to the success route. I'm hiding the header for success as well and save it. One more thing, before we go and test it fully, let's click on debug, and I'm going to provide some ID if I have copied. Yes, on the footer you see it says next button. can we relabel it to say create case, something like that. That way user will feel it like, okay, if I click on this button, a case will get created. Yes, we can do that, and that is what we will do. So in this case information screen, select that screen, edit element, go to the section called configure footer under the screen property, and here for the next or finish button, select use a custom label and put it over here, say create case. Now you see here it looks like create case, and done. And while you are under success screen, while you are under success, instead of previous, you can select this footer, and after selecting this footer you can go to the footer property. For the previous button you can say go back instead of previous, right? Go back, and done. So you can customize these as per your needs. The labels of buttons can be customized. Now let's go ahead and debug it. This time now we will use the ID of some contact. This time whatever it is going to throw us the error, so I'm not going to put some valid information. Click on create case, you see here, and you see now this time you get the proper message. This previous is coming in the error screen because we haven't given go back there. So now this says cannot create case, something like that. This is basically giving you the error. This error can be shared to you by the end user that we are getting this error, and then you would be able to find the root cause. Let's go back to our validation rule and actually deactivate it. We don't want to keep it active. Now our flow is going to work fine. We'll say run again, and this time I would say generator not working. No, I'm not kidding. This time it's really not working. Okay, and then select the proper field like priority, case origin, requester, and say case got created. You got the ID over here on the right hand side bottom. You can take a look by copying and pasting the URL in the ID in the URL. You see it here. Now you are satisfied with the testing. You say okay, go ahead and activate it. Once you have activated your flow, go back to the contact, because we want to use our flow from the contact detail page. Open any contact, click on gear icon from the top right, again next to your profile icon, click on edit page, and you already know, if you have watched the previous video, you know that you need to add your flow here. So from the left hand side we are going to search for flow, drag and drop wherever you want to, and change the flow which you want to use here. I would say create case from contact detail page. As soon as you select your flow, while you are under the property of that flow itself, you will see there is an input variable called record ID, and under that variable there is something called pass record ID into this variable. Check this checkbox. This will make sure that the record ID is dynamically passed to your variable. Go ahead, click on save it, click on save. It will ask you to activate. If it is asking at all to activate, go ahead, click on activate. I am going to make it as assign as org default. You can play around with the other options. And next, save it. Click on save button again to make sure your changes are saved, and go back. Now you can see your flow is sitting over here inside Ashley James, and if I say, let's say I'm going to take the subject from this case which says mechanical maintenance, something like that. Subject description, status is new, priority high, case origin email, case reason I would say equipment designer, something like that. Click on create case. Case got created. It is definitely not displaying over here because it's not refreshing the page. So if you click on case, You can see that a new case has been generated today. I created it 18th of December. So that is basically how it is working. You can go to another contact like let's say Josh Davis, and I'm going to take the subject of the Davis now. This is a closed case. We are creating a new one. Low priority origin web and case reason equipment complexity. Case got created. If you click on finish, you are going to come back again on the same screen, and after you clicked on finish, you can see here a new case which just got created today. This is the one, is now reflecting over here. You click on this cases too. You can see here this is the new case because the status is new and this one is closed. So that's how basically you dynamically create a record. You dynamically read the record ID from any record page. So this is it for this video. This is it for this scenario. Keep learning, keep sharing your feedback with us, keep sharing the scenarios, and we will try to create videos on those as well. Thank you.